Hey everybody, it's Babette Haggerty, and I am doing this video today. It has nothing to do with dogs or dog training. It has nothing to do with real estate in South Florida and Palm Beach County. It has nothing to do with horses. This is the way I honor my mother's life. So I'm going to ask that you just humor me and watch this because it's really super important. This is not a video about, how great my mom was. It's a video that, in my opinion, everybody needs to watch and everybody needs to pay attention to and learn from her situation. So, 2004, my mom, her mind was slipping a little bit. Long story short, she had fallen. She'd gotten hurt. She was brought to the hospital. They called me to tell me she was in the hospital. So I went. My mom was passionate about being an organ donor. She was passionate about never being put on life support. She was passionate about never being resuscitated should she die. And she made those wishes known to everybody all the time. She was passionate about that, especially the organ donation part. So when she was brought to the hospital, I brought her paperwork because I really didn't know what was going on. I just knew she had fallen and she'd been brought to the hospital and she wasn't conscious. So I brought all of her paperwork. I'm an only child, so it was all up to me. I gave them the information that she was an organ donor, that do not resuscitate under any circumstance, and not to put her on any life support whatsoever. So I submitted that. The next several days that we were there, I'm not even sure how many days she was there. I was there for her meals. I would feed her. I was there, in the morning. I was there at night. I was there quite a bit. And the times I wasn't there, I would call at the end of a shift to get an update on how the shift ended. And then I would call the beginning of the next shift to make sure that they knew what was going on, because truthfully, I learned pretty quickly that this hospital was a little inept and I wasn't really trusting the staff there. And so I was really kind of on top of them. So fast forward, she had some surgery. She was not able to feed herself because she had a neck and shoulder injuries. And she was also on a puree diet. What a puree diet is, it's baby food. It's blended food, it's shakes. It's not anything that requires swallowing, because she couldn't swallow. She was having trouble with that because she got injured. So fast forward on December 22nd. Yeah, it was December 22nd. She ended up being served roast beef on her lunch tray. I was not there yet. I was pregnant at the time with my daughter. She ended up with roast beef on her tray. She ended up putting it into her mouth somehow. I don't know how, because she needed help eating. Apparently there was a nurse at the next bed tending to the patient that was also in the room. And my mom choked and she coded. And I got the phone call after they resuscitated her, which they weren't supposed to do. They went ahead and they put her on a breathing machine. They told me it was to help her breathe until she regained consciousness. It was life support. So they resuscitated her, they weren't supposed to. They put her on life support, they weren't supposed to. And they said, and they had screwed up. They screwed up, they were trying to cover themselves. And don't get me wrong, I love doctors and nurses. They've saved my daughter's life more than once. So I don't hate doctors and nurses or people who work in the hospital. I'm very grateful for them. But this was definitely a screw up that led to more screw ups, led to lack of accountability, which led to them just adding insult to injury to my mother's life. So I said, fine, you have 2 days. They said, oh, just, 24 to 48 hours until, she wakes up. She wasn't going to wake up. She was brain dead. And Christmas Eve morning, I went there and I said, okay, I gave you guys the 2 days. You've already not abided by her wishes. She's off. Get her off this life support now. Well, if we pull her off the life support, then she's not going to be able to donate her organs, which I didn't understand. I was 35 weeks pregnant. I believed them. I don't know why I believed them, but I believed them. And I said, that's fine. I said, she's not waking up. She's not gonna have any quality of life if she wakes up. You need to pull her off life support. And, I had to honor my mother's wishes. It wasn't necessarily what I wanted. It was, my dad didn't really agree with it, but we both knew this is what she wanted. And that was our job, was to speak for her, because she was unable to speak for herself at that time. They pulled her off life support. They told me that they couldn't donate her organs. They transferred her to hospice of Palm Beach County, where she passed away on this day, 19 years ago. And why do I tell this story? I tell this story because you have to have your paperwork lined up. You know what? You have to look in your paperwork. Do you have your will? Do you have your do not resuscitate orders if that's what you want? Do you have a living will in order, written by an attorney that says, I do not want to be on life support? If that is your wish, doesn't matter to me what your wishes are, but please make sure that you legally document the wishes that you have. It's super important. Not only do you have those wishes documented, you need to trust someone to speak on your behalf, whether they agree with your decision or not, but one that is going to respect your decision and make sure. The hospital fought me. They did not want to pull her off life support because they knew they screwed up, and they didn't want her to die because they knew that there was a lawsuit that was potentially there. And that's a whole other story, which I'll touch on a little bit. But you need to know that your wishes will be respected and someone will speak for you when you cannot speak for yourself. I can't emphasize this enough. The organ donation, if you believe in organ donation, please make sure. It turned out that they could have donated my mother's organs. I have a friend who had some transplants, eye transplants. And yesterday, I got the text saying that they were failing. And I got so angry because I'm like, those bastards, they cheated all these other lives out of getting my mother's organs. And, somebody else could have had her eyes, somebody else could have had her heart, her liver, her lungs, whatever. They could have had her body parts, and she could have helped so many more people. And they did not respect her wishes because they were trying to cover their asses. And I think that's like the worst injustice of it all. The fact that they screwed up, the fact that they fed her the wrong food, the fact that she choked, the fact that they resuscitated her, the fact that they didn't, and put her on life support. Those were all screw ups. But the biggest injustice of all, in my opinion, was that they didn't donate her organs when they could have. And they should have, because they would have helped a lot more people. She would not have died in vain. And, I gotta, because I always post this every year on Facebook, because I feel like this is the best way I could honor my mother's life. Somebody said, I hope you sue them. And unfortunately, I wasn't going to look into a lawsuit. My husband at the time convinced me to look into a lawsuit. I had spoken to 3 different attorneys. And unfortunately, at the time, what was explained to me was that from a legal standpoint, my mom's life was worth nothing. And that I would spend more money on attorneys than I would ever get from the hospital because of her age, because no one really counted on her for financial help, or she wasn't, helping raise my children, so that her life was worth nothing in the eyes of the law. So yes, I could have had a lawsuit, and yes, I could have gotten some money, but it wasn't worth it. One, it would have been totally stressful and unpleasant. But that's besides the point. The whole point of this video, and please share it, is, what? I know some people don't believe in organ donation, but if you do, please go do it. Help my friend, whose eye transplants are failing. Make sure you have your paperwork. Make sure you have somebody that is going to speak up for you. Don't do it just for yourself or, in honor of my mother. Do it so that the people who are there for you, your family, they know what you want. They know how to respect your wishes. They know how to speak up for you. They know what you want. Because I've heard stories of families like they're in disagreement, nobody can make a decision, brothers and sisters are fighting, aunts and uncles are fighting. So please express your wishes, put them on paper, have an attorney put together the paperwork for you. It's really important. And most of all, consider becoming an organ donor, because you can touch so many lives. Anyway, I wish everybody a wonderful New Year's, and go do your paperwork. Call your attorney, and don't wait. Thanks for listening, everybody, and please share this. Please share this to everybody and anybody you know, so that my mom's life can be celebrated in a good way, and that my mom's life could do some good. Thank you, and best wishes, and be well, everybody.